I'm Kerry Shale.
And I'm Daniel Crespin.
And this is Bob Dylan.
Approximately.
She's looking into my eyes. She's holding my hand. She's looking into my eyes. She's holding my hand. She says, "You can't repeat the past." I say, "You can't? What do you mean you can't?" "Of course you can."
Course you can.
Of course you can. God, we both love this song, don't we?
Yeah. I didn't realise how much I loved it until I started doing the research for this. I mean, I always knew I liked the tune, but I was just saying before the podcast, I think it sums up for me everything I love about Dylan post-97, the sort of second wave of Dylan that I call it. It's fun, it's brilliant, it's clever, it's caustic.
So it's Summer Days.
It's Summer Days.
It's Summer Days from Love and
Theft.
Theft, released on September 11th, 2001, a day when nothing much else happened. It was a good day to release an album. And so my listening to this, again, like it is really, really up there for me in favorite Dylan songs.
Yeah.
But I realized, looking into the words, because that's, a lot of what we do on the podcast, I realized it's not the words. This is like, there's a vibe to this song. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I was running late this morning on the way to the podcast, and I was just sitting there, fucking Instagramming and wasting time. And I thought, oh shit, I'm late. And I had to really get moving. And I put on Summer Days, because it's just it's a thing to really just get you
driving.
Get your ass in gear.
You can't not sort of bob to this song. I always feel we've got video, so I can do that.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's about, to me, it doesn't really matter what it's about, but it is about a lot of things. And I think it's kind of mostly about that Bob thing, the feeling of constant movement, feeling of constant change, the creativity, really. It's if it's information you want, you can get it from the police. This is art. Like, I thought that was a great line. You want information? Yeah, go, get facts from somewhere. This is art. This is, boom, boom, boom. This is the way I roll. I mean, I think it's one of the most quintessential songs about Dylan-ness.
Yeah.
And in a good way. Not like there's the other, in a positive way. Because there's the negative Dylan, which is equally strong. Mm-hmm. But this is positive Dylan.
Yeah, I think it has such as you say, a vibe about it, this song. But it shows how Dylan uses lyrics and music so cleverly, because obviously it's a jaunty music, but also it's like this Hellraiser Dylan, I feel like, that I love about him. He's sort of, could be hanging out with Oliver Reed and stuff. It's like he goes somewhere, causes chaos, gets in his Cadillac, goes, causes more chaos. The police are after him. What do you mean you can? Of course you can.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm standing on the table, I'm proposing a toast to the king. That's something you do when you're really pissed.
Yeah.
That's a very Oliver Reed sort of thing.
There are theories about certain things. So, marrying a girl with Royal Indian blood, is he marrying Native American or someone, an indigenous Canadian?
Yeah, no, I saw that
one
theory.
Thing. Yeah, theory that it was about Canada. God's River, which is where a First Nations link, settlement in northern Manitoba. So that's
where I'm from.
Where you're from. And it's the location of the Manto Sipi Cree Nation. Apologies if I got that wrong. But there's talk about that. Like, that would make sense if I'm doing a toast to the king kind of thing. The head of the tribe.
I mean, there's a lot of. I went online like you, and I've got a bunch of facts here, that I got from the police, the fact police, and there's tons of stuff that this is one of the quintessential songs about love and theft that people say, oh, he took this from this, he took this from this, he took this from this, and we might as well list them, but. But actually, you know what? I want to go on more about the vibe.
Yeah.
I just think, especially if you've seen live versions of this song on YouTube,
which he's done a lot of, nearly 1,000, not far off 1,000.
Yeah, and he really, we had this theory at one point that he was anti-guitar solos, but this is one song that he actually encourages guitar solos.
It's one of my favourite intros to any Dylan song ever. That and then into the initial solo. It's great when he lets a bluesy solo.
Yeah,
happen.
and it's got a live feel to the album. But when you see it live, it's even liver. Because he lets the guitar solos go on and dueling guitar solos, and one thing I've been because I know you've been turning me on to a lot of his live stuff lately, and I've been watching more live stuff and listening to more live stuff, and I've really fallen in love with his little weird bits of guitar playing.
So odd, yeah.
It's just as weird as his singing.
I know. Yeah.
It's just like
but it shows to me that he's hearing something in his head that none of the rest of us are hearing, and he knows what he wants. And I almost think his guitar playing live is his way of keeping time for himself of whatever he's hearing. It's very odd.
Yeah.
But this was a great period for live stuff because it had Charlie Sexton and Larry Campbell on guitar, so they could duel. And when they did duel, amazing,
fabulous.
Yeah.
So here's a few quotes. So I've got 8 carburetors, and boys, I'm using them all. It's apparently from the surf rocker called Hopped Up Mustang.
Hopped Up Mustang. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So he name checks that.
Okay.
In High Water for Charlie Patton. So it's Hopped Up Mustang by Arlen Sanders, released in 1964.
Great.
And one of the people that was sort of putting this together said basically pretty much every line in this is a reference, or either a quote that's taken from another song or a book, that the entire thing is love and theft. Like he's thieved from things that he loves. So here's a few other things. So he references Elvis, obviously, in proposing a toast to the king. And I'm Counting on You. So I don't know my Elvis that well. Was a track from Elvis's first EP. I'm counting on you, love, to give me a break.
Okay.
So that's he's referencing an Elvis song. And Where Do You Come From, Where Do You Go is from the chorus of Cotton Eye Joe. Soon as the Dark Clouds Lift is from the Irish folk song The Hills of Donegal. Stand Up to Some Old Businessman and Break in the Roof as a Parting Gift is from Confessions of a Yakuza by Junichi Saga.
Yeah. Who was very touched that...
they said, what do you think Bob Dylan stole your lines? He said,
great.
I mean, can you imagine?
That would be the absolute... Yeah, Bob Dylan's read my work and he thinks it's good enough to steal. Yeah.
I know. Brilliant. Hogs Out in the Mud and a Long-Haired Woman with Royal Indian Blood is from the novel Heart of the World by H. Rider Haggard, published in 1895. Bob, can you imagine the books by Bob's?
Well, imagine how many books he's read. He's on tour all the time, travelling. Yeah. He must just read and read reams of stuff, I imagine. There's also a Great Gatsby quote in there.
Well, say the Great Gatsby.
Yeah, so it's the you can't, where is it? So it says you can't repeat the past. I say, what do you mean you can't? Of course you can. That's which is my favourite line in... I just want to talk about that line briefly before we get onto other stuff. Yeah. So I remember I was about 13, 14 when I first read Great Gatsby, and it turned me on to books where there's a sort of unreliable narrator, and I thought it was amazing. I'd never read a book like it, and I love the final page is one of my best endings to a book ever, in my opinion. But this, if there's no other line in the whole of Dylan's oeuvre that shows he's a genius songwriter, it's one where he's stealing it in a way, because it's really hard to make any line work of sort of like, so she said this and I said that. Putting stuff in quotation marks or speech bubbles in a song is really difficult. So that's the first thing. He manages to do that. But also to make it fit rhythmically. It doesn't fit rhythmically. It's like 5 beats too long, but somehow he makes it perfect. I mean, it's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's funny, and it's Bob to me. It's like, what do you mean you can? Of course you can. Straight into the next thing. There's no time for a breath.
It's like you can't sing a song like that.
No.
What do you mean you can? Of course you can.
Of course you can. Yeah, I will. Yeah, it's the best bit of the song, and it should not work at all, in my opinion. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to talk about, when we started this thing, we were going to talk about more about sort of age difference stuff, because there's a big age difference between us. And I think that's partially what the song is about. You know, I'm driving in the flats in a Cadillac car. The girls all say, "You're a worn-out star." My pockets are loaded, and I'm spending every dime. There's a lot about aging. Like, my pockets are loaded, you can take in two ways. That I'm rich, but also it's like Virginia Woolf loaded her pockets and walked into the sea and kill herself. So there's the fog's so thick you can't spy the land. There's a lot of stuff about aging. Where do you come from? Where do you go? Yeah. Sorry, that's nothing you would need to know. I mean, there's just stuff about underneath it all that there's death. My dogs are barking. There must be someone around. Like, is that death? And I got my hammer ringing, pretty baby, but the nails ain't going down. That's again, that's not a good thing. But he's looking it in the face, and he's saying, fuck all that shit. I'm not going to. He was about 60, I think, when this came out.
61, early 60s.
Yeah, and it was just like, I'm still. And when you see pictures, when you see concert videos, boy, he was vital and alive and, recovered from that physical problems he had. And he looks like a kid. And it's just. I think that's one of the reasons that, another thing to super love about it. I remember when I was a kid, or when I was a teenager, was when Bookends came out, Simon and Garfunkel. Yeah. And there's a lot in that about aging, especially the song Bookends, sat on a park bench like Bookends. How terribly strange to be 70. And, it is fucking strange. But Dylan doesn't kind of, he still doesn't. He's, really old now. And how terribly strange to be 83. Yeah. And he's still,
To me, and why I almost love this Dylan more than I love the 60s Dylan. Because I'll talk about this later on, actually, when we get to the second song. But to me, he's sort of an ode to growing old disgracefully, and I mean that word brilliantly. Disgracefully in terms of not how our society tells us you should age. I remember my grandmother's 95 now, and I remember talking to her a couple of years ago, and I was just asking her, how does it feel? She said, I don't feel any different other than physically. She said, I feel the same as I was when I was 30. I'm the same person. And I could see in her the sorrow there in a way, because she's 95. She's physically really tired, and it's like, that soul's still kind of trapped in this body that she doesn't recognise. And it's actually a couple of years ago when I saw Bob. It was the first time I was like, oh, he's old. He's old now. I saw him get up from the piano and slowly and kind of be slightly bent over as he walked. But I'm like, fucking hell, man. I've been on tour, and I find it hard enough. And I found it hard enough when I was in my early 20s touring. It's not easy. And that's all he's done for most of his life, and he's still doing it.
I think a lot of it is psychological. I can tell you. I've got now got friends and contemporaries who accept all this stuff that he is rejecting in this song. And it's not summer days for them, it's winter days.
Yeah.
And because they've accepted it. I think that's just, Dylan is never going to, he's accepting certain things. Like, I think we referred to him as at one point as this sort of he's in his old grandpa phase, in that he's become somewhat mellower.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. But like, there's that reminds me of the line in this, standing by God's river, my soul's beginning to shake. And I know there's been a lot of, I've read theories about that. And I thought, to me, I think, okay, he writes a lot about rivers, crossing rivers.
Yeah.
But he's standing by God's river. To me, that's like looking at, not watching the river flow. And my soul's beginning to shake, like it knows it's going to leave my body or something or disappear forever. But he's still in this world.
Yeah.
I believe the end of that thing is, I'm counting on you, love, to give me a break. He's still, that's like sex, relationships. He's still part of this world.
There. To me, he's, and still not in a way. I know what you mean. He's softened, but he's never been the old wise grandpa to me. He's always been the the acts outrageously cool uncle, old uncle
Yes.
kind of thing. He's like,
No,
don't tell your dad. Here's a joint kind of thing. That's Bob. I'm getting on my motorcycle now. See you later. That's Bob to me at this stage.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. He's the cool uncle that you want to hang out with. And, yeah. I mean, you can just go through this. It's such a great song. I'm leaving in the morning as soon as the dark clouds lift. Gonna break in the roof, set fire to the place as a parting gift. You know, he's just,
as I say, creating havoc and hell raising, and I love it. Yeah,
I know. I know a place where there's still something going on. You know, the end of the song is,
which is the way it starts as well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm never not going to be that guy.
He loves to do that, Bob, doesn't he? You know, he loves to sort of make a song almost never end. Like All Along the Watchtower does the same. First two lines could be the last two lines. It's like this never-ending loop. And there's something that's quite wise about that in terms of life. It doesn't matter how much you think and how much you experience. At some stage, you're still going to be faced with the same problems in a different form, in a way. I'm a sucker for a 12-bar blues as well, and he does loads on this album. And this is just sonically, it sounds so loose, but it's not. It's very deliberate, I think. Like the loosened snare drum gives that cool kind of echoey sound that most, if you're in a recording studio, that's what you don't want usually. But it gives this that dun, 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 that drives through the song.
Actually, we should do an episode on just the various drums in Bob Dylan songs, because I do think that he often lets them kind of lead the song.
Yeah.
Nobody really quite talks about that, but it's the drum is sort of key to this song, as it is to I think the next song we're going to be talking about. Different versions of it change so completely with the drum pattern.
Yeah, and he's always very careful to have a very good drummer live. I think it's it is for any band. It's why Zeppelin are so good, in my opinion. It's like they've got the best rhythm section that's ever lived, really. And I think without that, you can't create a great band. I just want to talk a little bit about Cadillacs and Mustangs on this album. It's a very American album in its way,
super,
isn't it? And I did think, and I know Love and Theft is kind of a little, probably Bob's little wink to look how much I've taken bits from in this album, but it's also it's an ode to America in a way. Love and Theft, it's like if we talked about the natives on land in Canada and natives in America, it's kind of America started with a theft, a really, really big theft. And yeah, I thought it was sort of
speaking of the title again. Now a lot of people have said that this is a fact. I'm not absolutely sure, but anyway, some people say that the album title is stolen from the book Love and Theft, Blackface, Minstrelsy, and the American Working Class by Eric Loft, who's a professor of English at the University of Virginia. And then people will go on, if you do a deeper dive, into talking about how the album is full of references to blackface and the whole minstrel entertainment culture. And I think there's a certain amount there, and then there's a certain amount where you just think, to hell with it,
Well, this is the thing with Dylan or any great artist. Shakespeare, you can read in so many things into it because it's so rich. But I always think the amount of analysis of songs and stuff, and we're doing it right now, I always think as a songwriter, they must. You'd hear Paul McCartney being asked about his song. He'd go, "Oh, right, that's a good idea. Yeah, I never thought of it. I thought of it like that."
Yeah, and I'm sure. I think a lot of times Dylan just, fancied, like he heard a phrase, like for instance, "the genius of generosity," which apparently is from a speech by Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah,
it's just a great juxtaposition of two
a great bit of alliteration
G words.
Well.
Yes, exactly.
Which we love to hear.
And why don't I stick that in a song? Boom. And it's as simple as that. And then you get somebody writing university thesis about it.
Yeah. He loves opposite. Across these, because we're going to talk about something from Time Out of Mind in the second half. In these two albums particularly, he loves juxtapositions, particularly I feel day and night. So summer days here, and it's kind of this thing of mortality and death as well. You know, I think, yeah. I don't really know what I'm saying about that, but I just noticed how it's like doorways and all these things and windows. A lot of days, a lot of nights across these two albums.
Yeah, and I think this song in particular, you know, it moves so fast that you can't really dwell on it. But where do you come from? Where do you go? Sorry, that's nothing you would need to know. No. It's like that's about as heavy as it gets.
Yeah.
That's, you know, and he's not gonna. He's saying, I'm not gonna even deal with it. It's there. There's a question. There's like the biggest question there is for anybody who's alive.
Yeah. And Bob doesn't like to give answers.
Yes, exactly.
He doesn't like definite answers, and that's what I like about him. I had this thought doing research for this. You know, there's a lot of talk around this album and particularly Modern Times that comes next of sort of plagiarism and this stuff. Bob's always done this because he's not just using it for no reason. He's using it and then putting a comedic spin on it like that. Or, what do you mean you can't? Of course you can. It's so funny and brilliant and witty. He did the same in the 60s. Desolation Row is filled with pop culture figures, references, bits, you know, T.S. Eliot, Ezra Pound, The Phantom of the Opera. It's not like this is a new thing, but he's not using it for no reason. He's using it so he can then comment on it and make some sort of message from it.
Yeah, it's interesting because with Desolation Row, there was always that, like, Bob loved surrealism and surrealistic seeming humor, which I think he's kind of dropped, you know, over the years, which, and in a way, it makes it's not any less mystifying, but you don't have to deal with that. It's less self-consciously clever in a way.
It's more deadpan. It's more dry. The humor's more dry, and it almost, to me, it sounds like he's over the years cut off the fat of his lyric writing in a way. It makes it very direct. It's how Hemingway used to write, you know, make the sentence as economical as possible.
I agree. And this song is just full of that stuff. Yeah. Like, he'd been sucking the blood out of the genius of generosity. You've been rolling your eyes. You've been teasing me. That's, again, part of these unanswered questions, but just so few words.
Yeah.
You've been rolling your eyes. You've been teasing me.
Yeah.
And it's every... I mean, I would put this up against the Blonde on Blonde stuff.
I think it's a really overlooked song in his catalogue because it's because the tune's jaunty and because I didn't realise until I was looking into this how much I loved it. I always knew I liked this song, but actually looking into it, I mean, it starts how it finishes. In some ways, I'm none the wiser of what, you know, there's a wedding, there's maybe a divorce, I don't know. There's a lot of hell raising going on. So much has happened in a short space of time. But he's a hellraiser in this song, and I love this song. And I was realising this over the last few weeks. I've been thinking about this. I feel like Dylan has been a father figure to me in a weird way. And I was thinking this, and this is no shit. My dad, who's listening to this, is a fantastic father and has always been a very supportive father. But I don't think fathers and sons generally in life talk about these deep things very often, like life lessons in a broad scale. Whereas I've been listening to Bob throughout my whole, since before I was a man. And it's sort of like he is the wise old uncle who gives you these little bits that never fully answers it because he wants you to discover for yourself. But I just realised that, Bob Dylan's kind of a father figure to me in a weird way.
I think Bob Dylan's kind of a father figure to all of us. Yeah. I mean, I really do. That's why he's still touring and we're still going to see him. There's people there from all ages. It must be said predominantly male, but are some women as well. But yeah, I think we're all, he's now, you know, wise old granddad. And he's partially the ornery, cantankerous granddad who's them kid, you know, but he would never say something like them young kid.
No,
because he's still a young kid. He's still, as we were talking about your grandmother, he's still that young kid from Hibbing. I mean, funnily enough, I've started reading the Robert Shelton A No Direction Home
Yeah,
book.
big
you know,
book.
that,
Very big
well,
book.
it's just been republished in the
Oh, has it?
gigantic, coffee table
That's the
version.
one I stole from a Buddhist monastery in Scotland, which I still have to send back and send my apologies.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, get to work.
Yeah.
But I was reading this morning, at the beginning, there's a nice section about Hibbing and growing up in Hibbing. And I've always, I read the book years ago, so I feel like I'm reading it for the first time. And it's just fascinating to me about, that even like I got to the bit this morning where he's like 4 years old and performing in public for the first time, and he's singing this song, and he wants everybody to shut up and listen while he sings. And God, what it must have been like. I really want to write something about this, about Bob Dylan as a kid and Bob Dylan, Robert Zimmerman as a teenager.
Yeah, Babyface Bob.
Babyface. And apparently his father always called him Robert.
Yes.
And just
Yeah,
to
I
keep,
remember
none of that,
from that book.
Bob
Yeah.
stuff. He's going to grow up and he's going to be successful.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a captain of industry or a captain of something, and he's going to be successful and make money and everything.
Yeah.
He's going to be okay. But yeah, poor old. I mean, talk about. Bob was looking for a father figure too. Woody Guthrie was his father figure.
Yeah.
I'm really sure.
I think that's what we all, in some ways, people who love art and music or art of any form, are looking for in art. I just wanted to say that I love the fact that this song starts in the same way that it ends, and it's almost like what is the actual line? I should have it in front of me, but of the final. I know a place where.
Yeah, I know a place where there's still something
going on.
Yeah.
To me, it's like Bob's still heading for another joint, another skirmish, he's still so interested in life and can't keep still. And that's what this song says to me.
I'd like to know about the cover of your forthcoming album.
Highway 61 Revisited? Okay.
That T-shirt that you're wearing with the Triumph motorcycle on it.
What do you want to know about it?
Well, it means something, right? It's got a philosophy in it.
I haven't really looked at it that much.
I've thought about it a great deal.
I don't really remember too much about it.
What about motorcycles as an image in your songwriting? You seem to like that.
Oh, well, we all like motorcycles to some degree.
Do you subscribe to any particular theory?
I don't subscribe to anything. Except maybe the Bob Dylan Approximately podcast.
What's a podcast?
I don't think we have enough time to really go into that. Just press subscribe. Oh, and maybe rate and review, too.
Press what? Rate what? What does that mean?
You're a cow. Give me some milk or else go home.
I'll eat when I'm hungry, drink when I'm dry, and live my life on the square. And even if the flesh falls off of my face, I know someone will be there to care. It always means so much, even the softest touch. I see nothing to be gained by any explanation. There are no words that need to be said. You left me standing in the doorway crying, blues wrapped around my head. Blues wrapped around my head.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to ask you about this song first because I know it's a real favourite of mine from the album, and I seem to remember you saying, I'm not so sure about it.
Yeah, I actually really don't like the album version.
Okay.
I would actually, I think I would sometimes skip it. That's, and now I realized doing the deep dive into this that I really respect the song. I think it's actually a terrific song, an excellent song. But I really think it's a shitty track
Okay.
on the album. I mean, I've since looked at live versions. Did you send me the live version of the?
I sent you a live version from 2000.
Tons better. And the version 1 on the bootleg, that came out of Time Out of Mind, is much stronger. Again, interestingly, the drumming is much stronger. It has a touch of Summer Days to it. It's got energy. Now, I understand. No, you know what? I don't understand it. I think he gave in to Daniel Lanois. I think it's a sort of, it's a miserable version of a song about misery.
About melancholy.
A melancholy, yeah. And to me...
No, misery, and I know what you mean. Yeah.
To me, it needs that thing that Bob Dylan does, certainly now that he's producing himself, is if the more miserable, more melancholy the song, the more upbeat the arrangement.
Yeah.
And to me, that makes it come alive. To me, I'm sorry, I know the song, and I do respect the song, but I just think the version, it's not to my... When I say it's not to my taste, I mean, I don't enjoy listening to it. And I listen to Bob Dylan for enjoyment, even the most miserable songs.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand on this, on the arrangement and that particular the album version. Not my favorite.
I think it's what makes this podcast interesting in a way is that we have different tastes in terms of, I'm very drawn to melancholic art generally because I'm a bit more of a melancholic person. I think naturally you're probably more of an upbeat,
more of a summer days
kind of guy. But to me, this is I mean, obviously, this is what it means to me. It's like the Ode to an Alcoholic. This song, I can see this song so clearly. He's sitting at a bar on the edge of the bar on his own, ruminating on how everything's fucked, and he has nowhere left to turn, nothing left to burn, all this stuff. That to me is the Alcoholic.
So when you say Ode to an Alcoholic, which I mean, I know you're in recovery, is there a poem called Ode to an Alcoholic, or this is just
there's Ode on a Grecian Urn, which is the famous
I see.
Keats
So that's
one,
what you're saying.
I
see. Okay,
a big Keats fan who was also very melancholic, but I just remember, like, I travelled a lot in my early 20s solo, and I would walk around cities on my own at dusk, and this song reminds me of that. There's something about it. I'm walking through the summer nights, the jukebox playing low. I mean, first of all, you can't be walking through the summer nights with the jukebox playing low unless it's in your head, I guess, or if he's hearing it from a bar. Yeah. But to me, it's like there's this undercurrent, this hum in his head. And I don't know, I guess there's something about art that embraces melancholy or misery that makes me feel less alone or ashamed in it. It's like, oh, someone else feels this too and is inhabiting it so beautifully. So I think that's why I'm drawn to this song in a way. But also just throughout this whole album, you know, in my early 20s, I was going through a very immediate heartbreak. And this is a heartbreak song, as many of the Time Out of Mind one is. I just love the line, don't know if I saw you, if I would kiss you or kill you. I mean, that to me is breakups in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's interesting that I don't know when Bob Dylan had his last terrible breakup. But, like, that's one of the reasons that I don't... You know, I had my heart broken a few times when I was in my teens and 20s. But I haven't had my heart broken in a romantic relationship for decades now. And you know, the natural thing that the heart wants to do is to grow, you know, to heal. And so, aside from the fact that I've had a couple of beloved cats die, which I'm not kidding, broke my heart.
Yeah, I bet.
But I haven't. That romantic thing has healed.
Yeah.
So, and I remember it, but I remember it through like, you know, the scar tissue.
Yeah.
Whereas yours hasn't.
Yeah, no, it hasn't fully healed. And I love. We talked about age and Bob in the first half, and he's by no means an old man here. 56, 57. I think 57 when it comes out. But it's great to hear. It's a very different take on love, falling in love at that time of life, where I guess in our heads as a society, classically, the classic romantic thing is by 57 or 57, you've already been with your true soulmate since you were, for, you know, 20, 30 years kind of thing. That's what we get told in stories and stuff. But what I love about Bob in this album is that he's in love and he's tired of it. He's tired of being in love. I'm sick of love, but he can't. You know, he can't. Still, it's love. It's powerful. I love the bit. I would be crazy to take you back. It would go up against every rule. But hearing that, you think, oh, I'm gonna fucking do it, aren't I? Because I'm an idiot and I'm in love. And I love that. You know, I just when you see a title like Lovesick, you think, oh, it's going to be a mushy. And Bob just does it. I'm sick of love.
Yeah.
But I'm in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And this song is kind of a further down the line of the narrative, I think.
Totally. But I do think the earlier versions, like the thing that's called version 1, that's on, what is the bootleg of the Time Out of Mind, the one that...
Oh, Fragments.
Yeah, Fragments. Yeah. I think it's great. Like, if I really like the song in that version, and there's some great lines that he's like. I think he's worked this song to death in the same way that he's admitted that he's worked other songs to death. You know, some of the missing lyrics from the earlier version is "Don't pass me by, give me liberty or let me die," that's just great. And too many silver spoons, too much salt in my wounds.
Yeah,
and not that there aren't still great lines in this, but I do. Yeah, it feels overworked to me. It feels tired. Well, it's to me, and I know that I'm in the minority, but Time Out of Mind doesn't generally speak to me. It's I feel like I put it on because I'm a Bob completist. I'll listen to it, but it doesn't. It rarely sort of touches me.
Was that the case when it first came out as well? Yeah,
absolutely.
Because for a lot of Bob fans, it was like, "Oh, he's back! Oh, he's back!" kind of thing.
No, I just thought, "Oh God, now I've got to listen to this." And I mean, on a certain days, certain dark days. I mean, I have to be in a pretty dark place to really get into it. I had a theory just this morning that and this is ridiculous, but that, you know, Suffering Like a Fool and all the various things he's sort of putting him under was actually singing the Daniel Lanois arrangement.
Very good. I like it. Yeah. So I really do have a soft spot for this album. And I was thinking why. I mean, I just love the songs for one, obviously, but I realized this doing prep for this. This is the first time when I was going through Dylan's discography, which wasn't long after I, you know, had fallen in love with his music and him as an artist. This was the first time I felt like a current Dylan fan. And I know that's stupid, but the myth of Bob in the 60s is so in, you know, I knew that before I was about Bob with the big hair and the, you know, all that stuff, like a Rolling Stone. That's a relic almost in my mind as someone of my age. And I felt like, oh, I'm a Dylan fan now. This is Dylan now. And it wasn't Dylan now. It was Dylan when I was 3 years old. This came out 3-4 years old. But it's that, for me, 97 is the fulcrum at which Bob's career changes and his artistic style changes. And it still feels like the same Dylan to me even now, in a different guise. So I realised maybe that's why I've got such a soft spot, because I was like, it was like the album had just come out and I was listening to it.
Yeah, and you know, this was a hugely successful album. You know, I was an outlier. In fact, I've gone through periods with Dylan where I've given up 2 or 3 times. I've just thought, I can't go on. I can't deal with Dylan anymore. And I was in one of those periods when this came out. I remember I just moved to Islington, and we had this record store on Upper Street called Wood. And do you know the novel or the film High Fidelity? Right. Well, it was Nick Hornby was living around there, and Wood was the I believe the prototype for the record store in High Fidelity.
Right, okay.
Right? So the guy who ran Wood, I would go in there, and I didn't know that at the time. I only read that later. I would go into Wood, which was my local record store, you know, and I just moved into the area, and say, what's good? And the guy, and I got a lot of good stuff. I remember one time I went in there and I said, what's good? And he said, well, there's this guy named Ryan Adams. And I said, "Oh, I don't like Bryan Adams. That's like
no, different guy.
No, he's a different guy." I said, "Really, Ryan? His name is really Ryan Adams?" And he gave me the new Bryan Adams, which was that really the best Ryan Adams.
Yeah, with the American flag.
That's right,
behind him.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, this guy's good. And
Dancing When the Stars Go Blue.
Yeah,
Great
exactly.
song.
That was
Great
great.
song.
Actually, I saw him a couple of years ago.
I've heard he's a bit shit live.
Oh, he
now.
was awful.
He's fucking
awful.
Yeah,
terrible.
I mean, he's got into a lot of trouble in the last few years. And apparently gone downhill.
I
a
think
lot.
he's got mental issues, and he refused to play. And he was at the piano just playing. It was like sub. Bob Dylan at his lowest. Like the songs weren't as good, and he played songs from that whatever the hell. What's that?
I can't remember the name of the album. I can see the cover.
But those beautiful songs and those rockers, those tough rockers that are on that album. We can't remember the name of, and he turned them all into sort of like. Just wrist slitting shit, and we wanted to leave after about an hour and a half without an interval. Suzanne and I turned to each other and just said, "Let's get out of here."
He's recently got a similar thing in Australia. Loads of people leaving, and him apparently since saying they're the worst people ever.
He's in a bad space. But anyway, I was in Wood, and so I said, "What's good?" And he said, "Well, the new Bob Dylan just come out." And I said, "Okay." I was not in my. I'd gotten off the bus, and he played it for me, and I said, "Oh, Jesus, that sounds awful." Because actually, there was a big drop. It was his voice had kind of. Dropped another octave, and B, what Daniel Lanois did with it made it sound again like it's in a tomb. It's recorded in a tomb.
It's the main criticism I have of the album is the way Dylan's voice was produced, and I do love all these songs far more live, generally. But I do love the album. I just want to talk about the title. So it's called "Standing in the Doorway." No explanation of the actual scene. It's all kind of remembrances of the end. He doesn't go into the actual relationship.
Well, we know about Dylan and doorways.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was going to say. A lot of doors in this album. And a door's a really interesting concept because it's kind of, it could be anything. It could be the entrance to salvation, could be the exit from heaven into hell. Trying to get to heaven before they close the door. You've got, I keep going on about Led Zeppelin, but in through the outdoor. I love that phrase, although it's not one of my favourite albums because it's ambiguous. It's two sides of the same coin. You can't have an exit without there also being an entrance, which is very Dylan. And that's kind of Dylan.
Yeah. And standing in the doorway crying is like purgatory. It's you're standing in between two worlds. Suffering like a fool. Yeah. So, I mean, I do actually, the more I listen to other versions of this song, the more I enjoyed it. I do think it's a terrific song. Just screwed up. By I just don't like that. Like when the end of the story about going into Wood was, I said, no, I'm not going to buy that new Bob Dylan album. I don't like the sound of it. And he looked at me with complete contempt. I remember
pity and contempt.
It was more contempt than pity. He pretty much threw me out of the store.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he just said, "Well, if you don't like it, fuck off." He didn't say fuck off, but that was definitely the attitude. And I thought, I've angered him. And I went back in. I did eventually buy it. I bought it like a week or two later. I thought it's the new Bob Dylan album. How can you not buy it? Yeah. But c'est la vie. I mean, I bought a lot of, good stuff there. And then eventually it was sad because they first of all, they moved off of Upper Street to around the corner where they didn't get the passing trade. And then the bottom fell out of the CD business. Yeah. And the place that used to be Wood, it was kind of legendary, this stop, is now a lingerie selling.
Right, okay.
Place.
I had it. This is so stupid, but I had in my mind when you were first talking about it. What's the Paul Simon song where he's doing the Dylan impression? There's something. Mnemonic
a simple desultory flippic.
That's it's just right where you said. I went into Wood. Said what's good. Said they got the new Bob Dylan album. I don't know why that was in my head, but anyway. I've got a Dylan Freuder moment, which is a term we've come up with. The Dark Land of the Sun. I kind of
Yeah.
like that. It's like, how can you have? Yeah,
I know when I'm like a lot of this happens all the time with Bob Dylan. With the first time I heard that, I thought in the dark land of the sun. What? Like, is he really singing that? Let me go back and just check. Yes, he is.
yeah,
The dark land of the sun.
yeah. Absolutely. There's so many beautiful poetic lines in this song, I think. I love that I would be crazy if I took you back. It would go up against every rule. Last night I danced with a stranger, but she just reminded me you were the one. I think that's so beautiful. It's really romantic, and that's again what I love about the album. Even Make You Feel My Love, which I know you struggle with as well.
Oh, big time.
I see. I love it. I can't, and I think Adele's version is very nice, and she's got a lovely voice. But hearing Bob, desperate, and
It's interesting. We'll have to
wish
cover.
I didn't love you, but
this
I
is
do.
this is interesting because this is, I think, the first song that, or certainly the arrangement that we really don't see eye to eye on, and it's a visceral thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It speaks to you, and it doesn't. The arrangement anyway doesn't speak to me. Yeah, and the same thing with if we ever do cover of the Adele versus Dylan, that I actually think. I mean, I don't like the Adele version, but I don't like the Dylan version. In fact, I don't like that song. But anyway, that's another.
Yeah. It's interesting. This might seem an off-topic question, but it does make sense. I'll get back to it. Did you, obviously you've been in a relationship for many years now, but when you first moved to London, did you ever find London lonely?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a line in this song that reminded me of loneliness in London. All the laughter is just making me sad. And it's when you feel lonely anyway, crowds of people make it much worse. And I noticed that when I first moved to London, when I was in a place of feeling lonely.
Yeah.
The worst thing in the world is going through these heaving streets and being on the tube. I just think that's such all the laughter is just making me sad.
Yeah, no,
everyone else is fine but me.
Yo, totally.
Everyone's having a great life except me.
I've been there. I remember riding on the tube and seeing lovers kissing and gazing into each other's eyes.
Yeah.
And just being, I used to live in a bed sit, and but it was on Gloucester Place. It was just one street over from Baker Street.
Yeah.
And there were there are always people at all hours of the day walking past. I was on the second floor, and I'd sort of look down on them and feel even more lonely. I mean, you don't forget that. It's not a play, but it's interesting the way human, the self-protective mechanisms of the brain. I don't. If I go back and in my mind to that place, I can remember it. It just makes me feel ill. It makes me feel kind of nauseous.
Yeah. This line always gets me in this song. Maybe they'll get me and maybe they won't. Who's they? Is that the love, or is someone after him?
That's a very good question. There's a lot. I mean, I don't know, because it's usually often you can say it's death. Maybe it'll get me, but it's maybe they'll get me. Is he just throwing that in to confuse you? Because I've got a theory, which I think I'm going to save till our next episode, about deliberate confusion in Bob Dylan songs. But I think it might just be that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is that that's too clear. If it's not, let's mess it up.
Yeah.
I think that's part of his theory of songwriting. Like maybe he goes over the song one more time and says, too clear. Too clear.
Yeah, because hearing earlier versions of a lot of songs, the original lines are more on the nose, and then by the time he's done the final version,
sometimes I think he overdoes it. Like, we were talking about Joker Man in one of the earlier episodes, and he admitted, he publicly said, I messed that song up. I messed with it too much. And I think, actually, I mean, that's such an obscure song. It's like one of the heights of his deliberate obscurity. And there's a lot of fabulous imagery and great poetry in that song. But ultimately, it's so confusing.
Yeah, I admire it for what it does, what it is, but it doesn't make me feel much, Joker Man.
I'm just looking at, this just is the lyrics that are in front of me now. I eat when I'm hungry, drink when I'm dry, and live my life on the square. I also love that, on the square. It's such it's like something from the 1930s.
Yeah, it's like square meals.
But it's like from the Depression. But it was a term, in the Depression. Is he on the square? And even if the flesh falls off of my face, I know someone will be there to care, which I find kind of odd. Like, clearly he doesn't have anyone.
Yeah.
Who is that someone? In the same way, who are they?
Yeah.
Again, it's a bit of hope, but it doesn't really make any sense.
I have a theory that this is that Lovesick and this song are part one and part two of the same song in a weird way. They both start with I'm walking. I'm walking through streets that are dead. I'm walking through summer nights. Just different parts of a different relationship. And there's lots of walking, lots of doors in this album. And there's a lot of talk around that this, when it first came out, is Bob dying or something?
Well,
Wasn't there?
This is another thing that Bob fans seem to love to do, which I don't love to do, is like, is Bob dying?
Is Bob dying,
and
yeah.
will this be the last concert? And will this be the last tour? I don't really know why people are so, I would say, kind of fixated on that. I mean, he'll die when he dies, and he'll drink, when he's dry, and he'll eat when he's hungry. Just back off. Like I
think there's specifically after 2016 where Cohen and Bowie and someone else died as well. Was it Prince? No, Prince died later, didn't he? But there's been a lot of major figures dying in a short space of time, and both Bowie and Cohen left albums where they knew they were dying.
Yeah.
So
everyone's waiting for Bob to do that.
Yeah, and Bob will never do that.
Do
As we said in an earlier episode, he'll probably release an album of show tunes when as his last album. So
and the thing
they think they're going to get My Mortality album. Fuck them.
But Bob Dylan will never die.
No.
Certainly not within the frame of all people who are alive now. Certainly in 50 years. They're still going to be talking about Bob Dylan.
It's, as David Hepworth said when he was on, a musician's value, a great musician's value, unfortunately, just rises exponentially when they die. It happened with Elvis, happened with Bowie.
And think of all the there's still tons of unreleased stuff.
Oh God,
like that Clyde King album. I don't know if it'll ever be released.
I know. I didn't even know that was a thing until you told me.
Yeah,
I was like, how has that not seen the light of day?
I don't know. It must be to do with Dylan. But there's so, and you read about other. I think he did an album with Ronnie Wood. Knocked off an album with Ronnie Wood. So there's not only will he not die, he'll keep releasing stuff. They've probably got a list of all the posthumous albums already worked out.
Yeah.
That was Bob Dylan Approximately with Kerry Shale
and Daniel Crespi. Produced by Robin Guise.
And recorded at Lipsync Post, Soho, London.
For longer bonus episodes, join our Patreon feed.
And if you have a Bobsessive friend, please spread the word.
It ain't quite the end.
We'll just bid farewell till we meet again.